welcome. Let's get started. Today's stream is going to be all about how I start a project. Now, I see this constantly churning over in students' minds, and I think it's really important that we cover this. It's like I said, this will be recorded and will appear live onto the community, so you can rewatch it any number of times you wish. How I tend to start a painting is I try to avoid the center, because the center of any drawing or painting is kind of, I don't know, it's something about it. It just drains the energy of the painting away, in my honest opinion. Everyone's different, right? But anyway, what I would start to do then on any project, be it in the studio or live, I would actually find the halfway. I would break that into a quarter, and I'd break that into an eighth. Now, you don't need to be super accurate with this. It's as accurate as you can be. You'd be surprised how your eye adjusts. I will then go to the halfway point, quarter, quarter again, and then the eighth. You can see that one's a little high. Now here is where I start to look at the harmonic balance of the painting. Like I said, I want to steer clear of the center. I want to steer clear of this. And it just, if I put a horizon line across there, it's just not going to work. This area here is, if I put these in, let's just put these guides up and I can show you. You should be able to see that on screen. 1, 2, 3. So this is basically a 3-part to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5-part. 3 to 5 ratio. This is a 1.618 ratio as a fraction. As a decimal point, rather. So let's write that down. It's a 1.618 to 3 decimal places. Now, what is this also known as? These two harmonics here, which it could be a 3 to 5 or a 3 to 5, it doesn't matter. These are what we call the golden section or divine proportion. It goes by a number of different names. Da Vinci and most of the Renaissance artists used to divide their paintings up in this harmonic. It kind of makes the painting feel good. So if this was a landscape, we could have the horizon here. Let's move that across. Here we go, roughly anyway. Or we could, so let's continue. There's the halfway. Here's the 3 parts to 5 going the opposite direction. So here we could put a sun, let's say. And to balance that off, maybe we could have some kind of headland going in here, which is on the 3 part to 5 ratio the opposite way. Now already this looks kind of interesting, like it could be an interesting painting. We could even extend this across, and you could put another one here. In other words, this is again on the 3 parts to 5. The choices are endless. It's your painting and how you decide to divide it up. But generally speaking, this harmonic here and here is also known as the 5th, because in music, we won't go into that today, but there's a harmony in music and there's a harmony in the eye. In other words, a harmonic in the ear and a harmonic in the eye. And so you can listen to something and go, wow, but you also see something and have the same effect. It kind of moves you in an emotional way. And if we could find a way that all of our paintings moved the viewer, can you just imagine what that would be like, just for a second? Sometimes people don't know why they buy a painting, they just love it. And this is one of the many reasons why. Could also be colour, of course. If you're looking for a blue painting, well, you're not going to go and rush out and buy a green one. So if the colour's right and the design is kind of singing to you in some way, then you're going to get noticed. So here we have the sort of main harmonics of a painting. Now there is another one. You have the fourth here. I call it the fourth because obviously there's 1, 2, 3, and the fourth. So it's actually 1/4 of the actual canvas. And again, there's another harmonic here again, which is the fourth. Both of those are the fourths. And here we could, for example, by lowering the horizon down, we're creating more of a dominant sky. And if you've got a really powerful cloud or a sky that you want to paint, maybe that's the good option. Maybe you need the horizon level down here so that you end up with a more dominant sky, a more interesting, or more space to paint a sky on. But let's say the opposite is true. Let's say you've got a really interesting foreground. I know, you could be on top of a hill and you can see a valley below you. Then you can have the horizon up here. I tend not to go that way because effectively what you're doing is you're altering your eye level. You're making yourself really tall. And as you make yourself really tall, you're looking down on your subject, and this diminishes your subject. What ideally speaking you want to do, and this is very true with still life, you don't want to be looking down on your subject. Maybe you don't want to be looking up at your subject either. Maybe you just want to be looking at your subject on the same eye level, or the same level as your eyes. So bear this in mind. I think if you observe this and you're aware of this, then you'll see it in many, many different paintings, whether it's a dominant foreground or a dominant sky. Where the horizon is determines how high the viewer is. Bear all these things in mind. Now let's break from this. Let's get this off the screen. There we go. Put that down for a second. And let's go on to another subject. It's just a slightly more variation on it. So let's look at the focal point for a moment. What is the main focus of your subject? Now, again, if this is a landscape, let's just put these in again. Let's a little bit simplified this time. So there's the halfway, there's the quarter, there's the fifth, which is 3 parts to 5. Let's put that in as a rough skyline or horizon. And again, let's do the opposite on the other side. Here we go. I'm going to put a quarter now for the sun. I'm going to push it over here. And again, let's go quarter up. And the fifth, I'm going to make it low down. So where these two things cross, that's going to be my sun. Okay? So the sun is low down. Now, where are you going to put something? Where's the center of your focus? If this is a seascape, then you could be looking at maybe having a wave coming in. So where is that wave? Again, think about your harmonic lines. So here's the fifth in both left and right. This is the quarter in both left and right. So let's say, for example, we have, let's break this down again. Let's put a guide across here, because that's, let's say that's going to be where our sand is. And here we have the fifth. Let's bring that around and make the water recede a bit in that area. This is just straight from my imagination. There's no, you can see over here we've got a photograph of a woodland scene, which is what we're going to be doing in a few minutes. But I want to explore this with you on multiple different genres. So let's now put a wave in. Now I think this should be the bottom of the wave because it's on the quarter here. So let's have this as a kind of crashing wave. This is the fifth, remember? So it can come down. This wave comes along, dies a death out there somewhere. And let's say goes along and here. Here we go. And there's our wave. So this bit is the crashing wave coming across. I don't go too detailed. And this is the deep water of the the rising water of that wave. Let's just push this across just to demonstrate to you what I mean by this harmonic. Again, let's just quickly push this in. I don't want to linger too much on this, and do practice these things, because you know it's the way we learn. Don't worry about getting it right. Get it wrong. You learn far more when you get things wrong. As I keep telling my students who come to class live within my studio here. So here we go. That's a bit of background here. Let's push this in a little bit more. And now let's have, for example, so this is a feature, and it's a crashing wave feature, and it's kind of centered on the fifth. Can you see how there's a balance between the sun and this feature? Now, let's have another feature here for a second. Let's just say that there's some kind of, how you'd explain this, like gushing water. So the waves crashed, and there's a mass of water coming up the beach, and it's like a sort of whoosh, it's coming up, yeah, it's coming towards you. So here we go, let's just push this in. Broken line, and let's just, don't make it too big, but just let's have it here, here we go, coming across like this. Shadow underneath. I just want to show you, this is just completely, I've got nothing in front of me, this is just out of my head. And I just want to show you, let's change to a bit of charcoal, because it's lighter. It's going to be easier to sketch this in with fairly swiftly. And I'm just going to use my finger just to mask that in a little bit. Okay. And again, water coming up here. I'll go into a big drawing here. I just want to show you the sort of harmonics which we can see on this. So this is our crashing wave. Here we have that foam which is kind of rushing up the beach towards us. There could be something going on, like a little wave or two over here in the distance. You know, the water's not flat, right? It's a sea. And you can see very quickly how this can develop into something. We have a feature here of a crashing wave. There could be a rock here on this harmonic, which is a bit twee because it's directly under the sun. Move it. If there is a rock there, say for example you're painting live and there's a rock just immediately under the sun, move it. I mean, it's a rock, right? Just in your mind, pick it up and stick it somewhere else. Maybe stick it over here. So you've got like something, I don't know, maybe a rock is here. And again, that just means it's not going to clash with your, you know, it's not going to be directly under something. But look, now we have something which kind of leads us in, across, and if we had now, say for example, a cloud coming into place, let's not do that with, again, look at the harmonics. Let's make this the top of the cloud. The sun's here. Let's just bring that down as a mass. Any old cloud for the moment. Let's say this part is in front. There's a shadow. The sun comes across, creates a shadow on this part of the cloud. And this is in shadow as well. And before you know it, you've got the beginning of a cloud. Now, because the sun's rays are coming across here, you could have the tips of this are going to be illuminated by the sun. But generally speaking, if that's the truth, then this is going to be in shadow. Here, you could have something where the sun is not just, suns aren't flat, right? They're not, it's not a cardboard cutout. There's a 3D dimension there. But can you see now we can really plan out this? So now we have a cloud in above the main feature. The sun is now playing on both. Very quickly, there's a harmony to the painting. And that's really one of the key things that you should be thinking about when you're starting a painting. A lot of students, when they first start, they use a photograph, obviously. So if you take a photograph, that's nice. The scale is a bit boring, but that's what the photograph was. You don't have to paint or draw it exactly as it is. If it's a boring sky, well, another photograph you might have could be of an interesting sky, but maybe a bit of a bland background, or it's a forest or it's a field, but you really want to be painting a seascape. Steal the cloud, put it across onto your seascape. If you have a photograph of a bit of driftwood which has drifted up onto the beach, but in your main photograph it doesn't exist, steal it. It's an element. Think of these as elements within your painting. And you can decoratively put these elements any way you wish on your painting. So do think about that, because it is kind of an interesting way to lay out something which could be quite boring, had it not been for the fact that you've got other photographs and references you can use to make it more interesting. Okay, let's tear this off now. And let's put that on the floor. Right. Now let's look at a design sketch. You see in the photograph this, it's actually a painting I painted in as a demo. And it was nice. I kind of liked it. It had a lot of good points about it, but it also had some things in there which I wasn't happy with. For example, there's a tree which sticks up in the middle, and the path is kind of also very close to the middle. It's slightly offset, but it kind of, for me, it cut the painting into two. And it was only a small sketch. It's literally a 5x7 canvas, 5 inches by 7, so which is what? What's 7 inches in metric? Geez, 175 mil maybe by 120-ish. So it's not big, it's quite small. But let's now work this through. So do you remember, if we come to the halfway, there's the quarter or the fourth. It's a bit low, but never mind. And this is the fifth. I'm going to put this on the fifth. So I'm going to put the horizon across here. Now let's come vertical. There's the halfway, there's the quarters, there's the fifth. This is where the tree currently is. Now, okay, so let's set the scene here. This is a test painting. It's something I've done. It's a hybrid. It's sort of out of my head, but it's also loosely based on a photograph that I took in North Yorkshire. I say loosely in the sense that it had a path and it had some trees. It didn't look like this. So it's mostly out of my head. So, but I like it. It's something nice about it, but I want to make it a bigger painting. So before I make the same mistake twice, I'm going to move the main tree, which is currently here. I'm going to move it over here. I'm going to move it to the quarter harmonic. So how do you do that? Well, you just do that. Bring it down. For the now, let's bring that down. Let's enforce that a little bit. Here we go. There's my tree. Now I might widen it a bit So let's do that. Let's bring this up. Good job, I don't need a steady hand for this. Here we go. And I'm just going to smooth the edge on that, blur it a bit. There you go, already looks like a tree. Right, the tree has at the base a shadow. Now, where's the sun? Good question. I mean, I've currently kind of got it, I think it's over here, but I'd much rather have it over here. So again, on the quarter, bring this up to the quarter where it's halfway. So I'm going to put the sun in that location, which means my shadow is going to be doing this. Just for the now, I'm just going to put that in as a rough. Now, let's look at this path. The path is currently just left of the center. I kind of like its entry point, so let's put that in first. It's sort of on the quarter, and it's quite wide. I think it goes to about the 5th. So that's the entry point of the path. And I kind of want it to do, I think, this, and then maybe that. Maybe comes like a zigzag-ish. Let's see how that works. So I'm using horizontal strokes. In other words, I'm not going to do a diagonal. It's a diagonally. I'm going to do a diagonal shot. I'm just going to do horizontal strokes and bring it across like this. Probably come a bit too close to that tree. Okay, no worries. Bring it over like this again, and again losing it somewhere here. So the other side of that will be because of perspective, which we want to have in this. Here we go. Let's have a look at see what that looks like. It's kind of okay, but something needs to be a bit like that to it, and maybe we need something like this. So it narrows here. Let's get that putty rubber. Here's where the essential tool comes in. Whoops, a daisy. Let's bring that down. I've only taped it at the top. So let's bring this across. Okay, that's good. That's good to go. Now we have a high bank here. You can see this on the left-hand side. So let's bring that in, and let's continue that up. So it's slightly above the horizon line. And let's bring in that, there's a kind of there's another bank here. So let's put that in across, bring that down. Because I quite like the design of it, so we're going to keep the design as much as possible, the main features, I should say. Let's bring that across, lighten that up, darken it in a bit. See, right now it doesn't look a great deal, but let's hope it improves. And over here, we'll darken that in. I'm going to disappear this. It's going to be like a dark area of the forest. And I'm going to also extend that up, so all of that is going to be dark. You see, I can't help my brain from being a little bit, you could say, thinking out of the box. I don't often replicate exactly what I see in nature. I like to play with it because sometimes a tree or a bench or a gate or whatever it is in the forest, it's not in the right place. It'd be much better if it was over to the left, nearer to me, further away, or over to the right. So we can play with this. Now, one thing I feel from doing this is that the horizon's getting a bit high. I like it lower down. So I'm going to shift it to about here, which is probably nearer to the truth. But I'm going to lose this and make it disappear down here. So it becomes more of a valley in there. Let's darken that area in a bit. And this is very much what I'd call a design sketch. It's what I really do prior to a painting, because I'd rather sort the design out on here than I would on a canvas where there's wet paint. Let me just bring that path in about here, and I'm going to bring this dark area in. You'll see what this is. I kind of got it fixed in my head. I think it's like the shadow of trees, or the shadow that trees make. And you can see it on the photograph, or the painting, I should say, already. All right, let's blur that out. Let's have a bit of interest coming in here, so make that bank a bit high. Good. And if the sun's there, this is going to be some dark area on the bank. And this doesn't appear on the shot. It's just me and my brain saying, that should be dark. So we got a tree. Let's have that shadow, let's bring that shadow down. Let's reinforce that side. Now, interestingly, of course, the shadow is on the wrong side of the tree. Ooh, that's interesting. That's because it was on the left and it's now on the right. The beauty of charcoal, you can change that. That's why I say to all my students, don't worry about making a mistake. It's okay. It's no big deal. Now here, the putty rubber will lift off that highlight again. The way to clean a putty rubber is to just roll it into, like I'm doing here, just roll it into your fingers and it will clean. There you go. Now the highlight is on the other side. Much better. Right. So we got one tree in. There's a few trees over here. I kind of feel maybe we might need a few more. I'm going to put some rough shadow in. Now, I kind of feel that we need, this is going to be like the foliage area of the forest, coming across, coming up, maybe something like that. So all of this is going to be leaves. Let's put those in. This is only a design sketch. I'm not really fussed about what it looks. I'm not going to win an award on this one. I'm going to keep the sun visible. I know where it is anyway. Right. We're beginning to get a scene as to how this is developing. Let's bring some shadow something or other in here. Let's hold on to this piece of paper. So that's something in the foreground. And I think this needs to have also some shadow in the screechy charcoal. And we'll turn that path a little bit, I think. There we go. Now it's beginning to look a little like Christmas, so let's push this across. Again, untidy is good. Don't make it a sharp edge. Nature isn't really like that. It's untidy. It leaves things lurking around. So make it a mess. Mess it up a bit. Now we're just having fun at this stage. So there's nothing written in stone. And I'm kind of just pushing out some of the ideas which I've got in my head as I do this. Like I said, we got a rough guide, but I'm changing it. Hopefully I want something better. This looks a little bit too neat, so I'm going to mess that up a bit. And I want a shadow. Good. And this I want a shadow. Oh, hello. Paper's moving. Hopefully it's still within the camera area. Let's hold it down. Again here, let's just make it messy. It doesn't have to be, but it'll be something. I've got no idea what it is yet, but it'll be something. And here, maybe we need a rock of some description. Let's push this paper down. I think it's curving up. There we go, one rock. Might stay there, might not. We'll see. We'll see how that works in a second. In the meantime, let's just mess that up a bit. Put a bit of mess around here. Shadow line. Okay, and we're now ready, I think, for something, a few more trees maybe. Because we've got the main feature. This is currently the main feature. This path is a feature. And some of the bits and pieces around here are features. So let's now put another tree in. So let's just feel this for a minute. Let's take a slurp of drink. Right. So bear in mind I don't like anything in the center. Avoid this. He drops his putty rubber. So this is the fifth. And you don't have to go straight up. So let's bring a tree like that. Maybe it breaks into two there. Right. Do you remember where the highlight is? But this is going to be dappled light a little bit because there's loads more trees there. Now, the way to get a highlight to make a tree stand out, there's a number of different ways. One way is to create the background so that it's darker. And then your tree stands out. Bear in mind, look where the shadow is. Let's have another go at this. Let's have another tree. Something, maybe this one is just over the hill. Again, doesn't have to go straight up. Doesn't even have to be a big tree. There we go. And a few more. Let's just put them in, random strokes. Here we go. Lots of trees. Don't put them in all at the same angle. What about here? Okay, yep, I kind of like that. It's not a main character. The main characters I see as being here. This and this is the main characters. Maybe this could develop into being one. Think of this as a movie. Yeah, so if that's the leading lady, these are supporting actors. And I know it sounds bizarre, but you've got to identify what the main focal point of your drawing or painting is. I think this is definitely going to be one. The path is definitely a main focal point, so we don't want to lose that. But I kind of feel we need something going on here, so let's just put some trees in. Here we go. It doesn't matter, any old how and some old bits and pieces, and just make those disappear into the background a bit. Right. I kind of like this. Now, as a design sketch, I'm very near finished because I don't want to be putting too much, what's that stuff called, detail. I want to leave it for the painting. we do have these big trees going across, and yes, if the sunlight is here, then this is going to be kind of a dark area, and underneath is also going to be kind of dark as well, because obviously the thick forest means that there's not going to be a great deal of anything going on. That's it. I do like to have some highlight, and I kind of like this spot here, so I want to keep that. Maybe have a few bits and pieces, but maybe we'll have that as an opening coming in. Yeah, that kind of works. Now, if that is an opening, of course, you'll have some dappled light, wouldn't you? Yeah. Where's the dappled light going to go? Now, coming into here, what is this going to be? It could just be some rocks. Let's just make it as a rock for a minute. There we go. Or it could be something a bit more than that. You could have that as maybe, I don't know, some bush or something, or a few long grasses sticking up. Not sure. We'll see how that works in a second. This doesn't need to be too detailed because it takes our eye away from this. What is the main subject here? This is, look at this as a focal point. This round here, and it's surprisingly close. Where are we? That's the center. So maybe we should shift that over a bit. And this is why I say the process of drawing is like, it's changeable. You can change it. It's okay. Let's move this over. Here we go. Now that's nowhere near the center bit. I kind of like that more now because it's pushed it across. Bear in mind the center is here. So it comes up, offers itself, and then disappears. Light coming from here would mean that some of this is going to be, ooh, hello. Some of this over here is going to be a little bit light. Yeah, that's working well. So here is just, let's get a bit of light foliage over here. Don't worry too much. I'm not going to be I'm going to be drawing or painting leaves. I just want to be looking at the rough shapes of what's happening behind. That's all I need. Again, and this is not very good drawing paper either, so you know it's nothing special. Had it been good stuff, we would have got a much better result on the sketch. Maybe. And let's just bring these in. This is like a hint of a tree. See what that looks like coming across. Yeah, you see that? Nothing more. Okay. A few here. Think of tree shapes. What kind of trees are they? Fir trees, oak trees, tall, short. Here's where you can have a bit of fun. And you learn so much, by the way, from doing this. Don't think for 1 minute that you shouldn't. You really do learn an awful lot from just having a bit of fun, making a sketch and making it come alive. bit noisy. These are just near tree shapes. And we're beginning to get, I think we're pretty much there. The near stuff in here would just be maybe some hints of rocks. Nothing else. You know, I think we're done. So what have we done to the main sketch? Well, actually, we've lost the valley. That's no longer there, is it? We could put that in. Maybe could we get that back? I think we could, putting it in there. Just highlight this a little bit more. Make the valley so it kind of goes down. Who knows? It could work. We've moved the path. We've changed the shape completely of the path. The path was almost going straight up. Now it's bendy and twisted. But generally, and we've also moved this tree over, which I really prefer. Can you see how much more, how happier the tree is in that location? It's fine. These trees, we can be surprised when it comes to painting this, how easy it's going to be to put those trees in. Now, this is the design sketch. You can see I've added some elements. Think of these, we've got an element here, an element of the painting. So this and this is an element, this path is an element. These background trees are supporting the element. They're not big elements, they're there, but they don't want to scream and shout. Don't put too much detail in these when it comes to painting, because every bit of detail you put in takes your eye away from the main actor, the main element. I like this highlight. I'll play on that, maybe put some highlight in, dappled light areas around here to bring that alive a bit more. And generally speaking, I think we're pretty much there. So I've moved some elements, I've added some elements. It's a unique painting now. It bears no resemblance at all to the original photograph that I took in Yorkshire. It's completely made up, but it kind of works. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Next week, next Tuesday, we're going to be taking this and producing a painting. The first stage of any painting is what I would be doing this as an imprimatura, which those of you who are students of mine know exactly what that is, but don't worry if you don't. I'm going to go through it in detail as to exactly what an imprimatura underpainting is, why we do it, how we do it, and it's fun. It really is good fun. It's a bit like charcoal, but it's less messier. So I shall look forward to seeing you next Tuesday at 5 o'clock. All of these webinars are recorded, like I said, and will appear on the community probably by tomorrow. So until then, have fun, be safe, and I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. All the best. Bye-bye.